Wow, y'all are in for a treat on this episode where I sit down with the amazing Beth Nydick. She's the founder of the FAME Lab, supports digital business owners to amplify their brand's presence with steady media exposure and strategically driven traffic to monetize the spotlight. Plus, Beth knows a thing or two about getting in the spotlight. She's been featured in Oprah, Parade, Forbes, Inc., Fast Company, Nylon Magazine, Tory Burch, and Better Homes and Gardens. And she's also appeared on The Drew Barrymore Show, The Chew, The Tonight Show, and more. She's also the co-author of the top-rated cookbook, Clean Cocktails, Righteous Recipes for the Modern Mixologist. And in this episode, we talk about when the right time is to explore getting in the media and how you can start taking action today, as well as so many other golden nuggets to getting exposure and growing your audience. Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Krissy Chin, here on a mission to help you grow your business online, turn your leads into lifelong customers, and scale to six figures and beyond so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, a mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and processes, marketing, sales, all the things you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbooks growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it. Beth is our upcoming expert for our Access the Expert series, where we bring in experts each month to teach on an in-depth topic. Now, media and media exposure is something that I have been diving into and experiencing, and something I believe every business should explore. And no, you don't have to be on Oprah magazine to make it count. You could literally use podcasts to start building your media features. And so we're going to bring Beth in to teach you how to make 10K from your next podcast interview. Yes, I said it, 10K. You can come to the live training for free May 15th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Just use the link below in the show notes to grab your free ticket. Oh my gosh. And if you're listening in the future, don't worry, you can grab the replay. Just go to that link. So without further ado, let's welcome Beth to the podcast. Beth,
Hey,
welcome.
I'm so excited to be with you. And yes, you are starting to be your own media maven. I love watching you explore it. It's so much fun.
And I've loved your assistance in the process, y'all. I feel like I'm attracting, because I'm diving into this space of media, leveraging media. You know, I'm sort of like noticing my community and network growing with media gurus, which is amazing. You helped me prep for the news segment. If y'all missed it, I was on the news, which was super exciting, the local Atlanta news. And Beth was, and I were messaging back and forth, and she was just giving me amazing tips to take to that and just really crush it. So I appreciate you for
Of
being
course.
there to support me. And we met in the Mixermind, which y'all have probably heard me talk about. So a networking community of just like the most amazing women,
Right?
created by Linda Sadu. I mean, just like it's
love it.
gold in there. Yeah, so amazing. And you were just in there recently doing a training on media, and I was like, okay, y'all, like we have got to bring Beth in to give y'all the scoop, because I'm like, this is genius and it's so simple, But before we dive into all of that, like
Okay.
let's hear a little bit about, I mean, we did, they got the intro, they know like you're amazing, you've been everywhere. But let's just share just a little bit about your story, maybe that you think people should hear about.
Of course. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm an avid listener and subscriber, and leave a review. So everyone listening, go leave a review.
And hit follow, right?
And hit follow. Exactly. Got to make sure you say that stuff up top. I was a big TV junkie growing up, and all I ever wanted to do was work in TV. I was an actress as a little girl, and when I graduated college, I became a TV producer. I was a PA, and I worked in production. My first job internship was with The Tonight Show, behind the scenes, and I understood that it was all about storytelling. And it was all about like showing up and being authentic. And I would meet all these like crazy celebrities. Like, who did I meet early on? Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. It was the summer of Forrest Gump when I worked there, and all these crazy things. And I really fell in love with the production part of it. So when I started out as a food blogger because I had kids, and then I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I didn't want to go back to TV and work 16-hour days. I called up my friends and I was like, hey, can I be on TV? Can I talk about healthy living? I was a nutritionist at the time. And I finally got my first big break with the Dr. Oz show. I was going on to make avocado deviled eggs with Dr. Oz.
Okay. Oh, that sounds
You know,
delicious.
and I had been an entrepreneur at that time for about 5 or 6 years, and I had the blogging coach, and I had my website set up, and I had all this stuff. And I remember the night before going over my new opt-in, the funnel was ready, right? I was like, I got my business ready. I know I love being in front of the camera, so that part was good for me. But what I did was made a huge, huge mistake is that I actually paused my opt-in the night before I went on TV. And I had thousands of people visit my website before I figured it out because I wasn't paying that much attention because I was so excited about being on national TV. And I
So it was
realized
an accident.
it was a total accident. Like
Okay.
I
I'm
paused
like,
it. Like I thought it was open. And then I remember going to the back end and I was like, why do I have no subscribers? And then I realized what it was and I cried for a little bit. And
Mm.
then I realized, this was actually a thing that happens to a lot of people. And I work with women primarily, to a lot of women. You get this big break, this big opportunity, but your business isn't set up. And that's when actually Beth Nydick Media really got started because I was like, okay, I'm never going to feel like this. And I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. I never want other women to feel like that. I remember talking to one woman. She's like, I was on the Today Show yesterday. What do I do? And I was like,
You're like,
you know,
why didn't you ask me this question before you went on
exactly. She
today?
just didn't know. She got the opportunity. And that's when I really started helping women to not only have consistent media in their business, but understand how to turn it into revenue.
Mm,
Because if you look in the marketplace, everyone talks about pitch, get in the media, pitch. But I'm like, okay, that's great to get on the media. But if you
mhm,
do nothing with it, I think it was a waste of time.
mhm. Yes, yes. Ah, so amazing. But well, I don't want to say but, like, and with saying that, it almost sounds like you have to have your business fully set up and like everything operating perfectly before you get in the media. But I see you shaking your head. So if you're watching on
No.
YouTube, you can see Beth like shaking her head no. So let's dive into more about that. Like, when is the right time to start look like opening the doors for media or looking at that opportunity?
When your opt-in is live and you can capture emails. Honestly, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
It's a landing page, it's a Calendly link, whatever it is, as long as you can create the opportunity for them to give you their email, even if it's to join a wait list. I don't care what it is. That's
Hmm.
the only thing you need to have set up. Because I think about it this way, Krissy. If I'm starting a business, I want to be building an audience from the beginning. And if you can decide on how you want to position yourself as an expert for now, not forever, not for
Hmm.
the next 6 years. I like to do it by quarter, test it, see how it works. But going into, let's say, if you have a podcast, you go to your town's paper, local mom starts podcast about entrepreneurship or healthy things to eat for your summer, like whatever your background, whatever your expertise is, just having a message and knowing how you want to be known and having an email list. That's how you
Yeah.
start in the media. And the other part of that, the misnomer, I think, is that media happens fast. It does not. It does not at all. Maybe getting on a friend's podcast can happen fast, but when people think about being in the media, they think about the big stuff.
Yeah.
It takes a little while.
Hmm.
Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes days. Like there's not a really, it's sometimes it's you hit the journalist with the right message at the right time. And sometimes you have to wait 6 months. So when people say to me, like, when should I get started? My answer is yesterday.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. Going back to the opt-in, the lead magnet, 100%, like that is the first thing to really do with your online presence so you can capture those emails. I mean, it just came out like about this whole thing about TikTok and like, is TikTok going to get banned? And it's like, y'all, like all your social media, we don't know what's going to happen with that. But if you built up on a platform of Instagram, TikTok, and then all of a sudden whoever wants it decides, the powers
Mhm.
that be decide no more or censorship or whatever. It's like you've got your email list. So, yeah. So, even in our Build a Blissful Business program, where we're walking people through all of the steps of getting their business online and automated and building that email list and building out their website, the freebie, the opt-in comes first before you build out your website, because you can get started and be on someone's podcast or just show up on their Instagram stories and they're promoting you. If you've got that freebie, you've got enough to grab an email list while you finish building out the rest, right? So of course you need to get clarity on your brand and who you're serving and what you've got to create that freebie. But that really is like, in terms of like your online pages, yeah, I think that's critical. And I love that you just said it could be a wait list. We're going to be building a website for an amazing girl. And she's just like threw up like grab the wait list to like learn more about my business that's coming soon, right? Like at least it's
Yeah.
something. Done is better than perfect. So
Oh,
like just get something out there, right? Like to connect more.
oh, 100%. So my new talk, which we're going to do in the master class, is how to make 10K from your next podcast interview. Honestly, I'm still working on what the opt-in's going to be, like what that thing's going to be, because
Mm,
I'm creating. So I did a talk recently, the talk that you were at, and then I did another one, and I just did a wait list, a form to a wait list, and I gave the notes, and that's it. And I
yeah.
have people coming into that waiting, getting emails back from them, hey, I'm so excited. Hey, this is going to be great. I don't have they're not downloading anything. It's literally like, thanks for subscribing. I'll let you know when I have it ready.
Mm-hmm.
And people are
Yeah.
excited about it because they're excited by the idea, because I'm sharing the idea. I think so often, especially new entrepreneurs, they want to keep it very close to the vest, or they're nervous about putting it out there. And what I've learned after being in this business for 20 years is that you have to get comfortable with testing. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever the thought is, put it out there and test. You'll know right away if it's not going to go anywhere. Not
Yeah.
immediately, but right, you have to test it for a little while. But you'll know if it's working or not. And I think we get so wrapped up in I need the right message, I need the right marketing. I'm like, no, you just need to start. You just need to
Yeah.
do something that people can connect with. That's why my thing when I work with clients is like, if you're not ready to be on camera, what do we need to do to get you ready to do that? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
want to be in the media and use visibility to build your business versus a million other ways you can build your business. But if you can do that, then you can have a lot of fun understanding how you can show up with your friends and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you did, show up on TV and have a
Right.
great time and
Yeah.
understand that like I can be bigger than where I started.
Yes.
I think it's a mindset. I think it's one of those things that's actually I was watching TV, and I honestly don't remember what it was, but it was like it was Vanderpump Rules I was watching.
Haha, love it.
And the girls were talking, and she's like, you can do hard things. We can all do hard things. And what we've chosen to do as an entrepreneur is not easy, right? Like this is
Yeah.
a hard thing we've chosen to do, but it's the best thing that'll ever happen to you.
I love it. And I tweak that phrase to
Yeah.
say like I do hard things. Like not I can do, like I do. You
Yes.
do. Like we've already done so many hard things. So like just flipping that in your mind of like
Oh,
I do hard things and I can do more hard things like entrepreneurship or
going
whatever.
to the gym this morning. Yes, I
Good.
did that.
Yes,
100%.
exactly. Showering, getting out of bed, like putting myself together, right? If y'all saw my Instagram stories, I'm only together from the top up. So we're good. We made it halfway there.
And Krissy empowered me to do the same.
Yes, I love it. Amazing. Going back to
Mhm.
media potentially taking time, like maybe it could happen in an instant, maybe it could take time. I think, yes, like you've got to be in this for the long game, but it doesn't mean, and I think that's why it's like, I don't care if you're just starting your business right now, you can start exploring media. Like you said, start it yesterday because it can take time, whether you have to develop those relationships. My first well, gosh, my first little media piece was like Yahoo Finance, and someone actually reached out to me wanting me to feature me, and I was like, oh, okay.
Nice.
I'm like, are they desperate? Like,
No, you're an
no,
expert.
right, no, right. I was putting myself out there, and I caught their attention, and they were like, okay. The
Amazing.
next one was a girlfriend of mine who I met at a retreat, gosh, 2 years ago now, and had her magazine wasn't even a thought in her mind at that time when we met, but we developed a connection and a relationship and we stayed in touch. And when her magazine came out, she had approached me and said, hey, will you write a column for the magazine? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what, like I've never written a column. Actually, I
No.
think that's not true. My dad did launch a little newsletter and he asked me to write a business column and I've done that for the last 3 months. Like
Oh,
I think 5 people were getting it.
awesome
um,
though. That's
but
so sweet.
anyway, so I was able to feature in the magazine and I was like, I instantly was like, yes. And then I like put the phone down and I was like, shit. Like,
Right.
now
Right.
what?
What
Now what do I
magazine?
do?
Drop
What
a
do I write
name.
about? Right? Like all of these things. And so that was my first time. And it wasn't perfect. Like it was powerful and impactful. Multiple people were like, your article made me cry. But I learned later on that you have to be really focused, like in your niche. Like, what do you want to be known for? Speak to that topic. And mine was a little bit more broad. Again, like, y'all, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just did it. And I can list that magazine on, my website in terms of media and stuff. But that was a year after I met her and, yes, I was friends with her and she reached out, but it's because of that relationship, that connection I was building over the year. And then there's been times where I've, reached out to be on a podcast and they just say yes instantly and I didn't know them. And so like it could go both ways, right?
Oh, 100%. And it just takes the asking. Like, I wonder if that your friend, if you had asked her 6 months earlier, if she would have been like, of course,
Right.
because I'm always about the ask, right? It's
Yeah.
ask your friends. So I have a cocktail book also. I'm a published author. And when we were looking for a book agent, I went to my town's Facebook page and I wrote, who here knows a book agent? That's all I wrote. 8 strangers put me in touch with their friends who are book agents, and I have a book. Right. So I always tell my clients, and I'd love everyone that's listening. Here's a challenge, audience. I want you to go to your town's Facebook page, your alumni, anything not entrepreneurship, and write who here works in media, who has a podcast, who has a magazine. Like, just ask that question to your community that's not in our space. You'll be surprised how many people are like, "Oh, my sister has a podcast. I'd love to introduce you to her." Or, "I work at the Today Show." Like, it could be anything. When my clients do it, I get amazing DMs from them and things always happen. So I'm going to challenge everybody who's listening to go do that and then tag Krissy and I will share it.
Yes. And to like point on that and kind of continue the conversation on media, you mentioned like podcasting or some of those things. When I think of media, and so maybe someone else out there is too, they're thinking about your rap sheet of like Oprah and the Tonight Show and like all these big things. But you can be, media could be being interviewed on someone's podcast
Yeah.
or doing a live on Facebook or Instagram, right? Like you would consider those
Oh,
media and just as and valuable, correct?
oh yeah. I want you to think about it as visibility versus media, right? Because, and first I'll go top line. Big media does not make you money. It gives you credibility. It gives you opportunities to do other things that you can create money out of. Being on your podcast or being on your masterclass, I bet I'll get something. I'll get a client, I'll get an interest. Maybe when I do my next launch, people that watched me then, I'll come into that launch. That's how you make money. Being on a podcast, being on some like my Instagram live show, speaking up in a community that you're in, if they do community calls or those networking calls, like that's the visibility that you need, right? It's getting in front of the right audience at the right time with a message, not the right message, with a message. Because I think especially newer entrepreneurs get stuck up with like, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? It honestly doesn't matter. Just freaking say something, right? When I work with my clients one on one, I'm like, okay, what is that message deep down in your gut that you are not talking about? We're going to start talking about it. For me, that's like you create your own possibility of success. So if you hear me speaking, I'm always talking about possibility. I'm always talking about it to you. I'm always talking about how do you show up, because being in the media doesn't mean being on Oprah. It means being visible to the right people. So that means on social media, because that's media, being in LinkedIn, being consistent. But I think a big miss that people do is like when they're in communities, they don't show up big. They don't show up in a way that people can see them. If you are in a community that you are not posting in weekly, then why are you in that community? Right? Why aren't you leveraging that community and using strategies that you would use for the media? Because that's media, that's visibility, to be known in there as well. Um, Being on Oprah, honestly, Oprah doesn't talk to anybody but celebrities anymore, right? In her magazine, you can get in, but what is that going to do for your business? I have an old story of a candle company that was on Good Morning America, it's like the steals and deals. They couldn't fulfill orders, and they didn't manage their community very well, and they went bankrupt. Like, media can ruin your business as well as do great for your business. So really thinking about it strategically, what's going to help me add people to my email list and create the opportunity for me to have phone calls? Is that being on Krissy's podcast? It could be. Is that being on Oprah? No. So when you think about how we're making money from media, I think they take that big pressure off and allow you to just be creative with it. And the other thing I want to add to that is that people in the media need you to keep their job.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I
Yes.
know. I
Oh,
think, right? We think
yes.
that these are media people and they're gatekeepers, whatever. If they don't have content to put on their air, then they have no show. And you are the content. So stop thinking about it like they're doing you a favor and start thinking about it as a win-win relationship where you can actually impact an audience.
Yes, 100%. And that was really that like was the light bulb moment that came off recently when this news segment.
Yep.
And it was like he's actively looking for stories and local stories. And it's like, yeah, don't think about it like doing you a favor, they're helping you out. Like you are helping them out. And they need new stories. And so I even, afterwards, it's like, he was like, I'd love to stay in touch and keep connecting. And I said, yes, absolutely. I have a list of women in my head that I think would also be great for the segment. If I, come, do you want me to share any of those ideas or stories? And he said, yes, I'm always looking for people, amazing people to bring on. Is what he said in so many words. And so I was like, yes, exactly. And just loving that mindset shift of, oh gosh, like, I don't know, like, I don't have a big audience to share to, or like, listen, if you can show up and you can, you know, do a good job, they're going to want you. Right.
Yeah, but it makes me think, Krissy, what are you going to do to get on again? Right? When are you going to pitch them again to get on? And what can that story be and how you can connect it to something that's happening in the news? We could talk offline about it, but I wanted to make sure I said that because it's great to help your friends, but imagine that you're doing a monthly segment for them.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. And that reminds me of, and when you like initially said that, the thought that popped into my head, like, oh my gosh, what else would I talk about? Like, that was the one thing, like, but I'm sure there's so many different angles to take. And then my thought went to when I wrote the article for my dad's little newsletter, it was like, if you have a column, like, you're taking that different angle, just like a podcast every single week or a blog post every single week. You take that topic and you find different angles for it. So yes, 100%. I'll take you up on talking more about that. But you're right. Yes, getting back on again. And I think that was also something that I didn't realize could happen was like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I was on that one, done and done, moving on to a different. But yeah, if you can be on a repeat on, they know you, if you did a good job, they might want to bring you back. So getting that exposure again and again and again, just more credibility, more content to show people like I'm here, I'm professional, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm the person to work with. So come
Yeah.
on.
So when something comes up in your space, they're like, oh, call Krissy. She's amazing. She'll do the segment. Right. And
Yes,
then
that was definitely a tip that I got to, leave the message of, and I'm really close by and I have a flexible schedule. So anytime you need me to, hop in there, like I'm here for you, right? Like that was advice that someone gave me. It might have been you. I think I got it from a couple people. But I was definitely sure to put that plug in. So that's amazing.
no, I'm
Is
so
there
happy for you. And I just feel like I don't want people listening being like, well, I can't do that. Anybody can do that. Anybody who can show up on camera and talk about what they're passionate about can do that. And it's available to you in local markets. Like Atlanta market's not small. So I'm so excited. Like that's a great market to start in. But wherever I started on my town's high school's TV show, that's where I got started. Right. So if your town has a TV show like mine does in their high school, go be on that show if you want to start out. Like it's people are like, well, I want to be on national TV. I'm like, well, you have ever done TV before? They're like, no. I'm like, you got to practice. It takes a little while, right? Yeah, if going back and watching my first TV segment, I don't even want to watch it versus the one I did last month. It's totally different, right? It's just like being on a podcast. You have to practice what you're going to say. You have to understand like how you want to communicate what it is, but it's available to everybody. So if you think too much TV is too much, or being on a podcast too much, then ask a friend to swap Instagram stories. Right? Do a live on their Instagram, you do a live on your Instagram, like just start somewhere because that's how you create the momentum to get somewhere. Right? To get the visibility that you want for your business and to make money from it, it's just about understanding how to communicate what you're saying so that people feel that you're their person. Because when we talk about marketing or building our business, it's a lot of communicating our message and making them understand. But when you're in the media, it's all about feels, right? What were you saying on that TV show while I'm watching to pick up my phone and go to your Instagram and follow you and go to your link in bio? That's what I want people thinking when they're in the media. When you're when you're being visible, what are you saying? What are you doing so that people go find you? Because that's really the goal when you're in the media. And it's all
Mhm.
about your story. It's all about what's really happening for you. Like what the truth is. Because I think sometimes marketing, it's like smoke and mirrors. When it comes to media or being on a podcast, it's being wholly intentionally vulnerable and telling the truth and not being shiny and just being real. Because I know that I can't imagine this hasn't happened to you, but I get DMs all the time. Hey, I heard you on Krissy's podcast. I really liked what you said. Or I heard on Krissy, I have a question. Like that's,
Mhm.
I want to be approachable. I'm Jersey, I'm casual, all this stuff. But I become like when I hang out with you on here, it's like I would hang out with you, we'd have coffee, we have the same conversation. I'm not holding back
Yeah.
because people can hear that and they can feel it. But I want to like really hone that in. It's like the media is about making people feel like they can understand who you are.
Yeah. And you have what it takes. If you're listening to this podcast, we believe in you. Like
A
we
hundred.
know that you have what it takes. And yeah, you might not be perfect, you might not be great, but anyone with some coaching, some support, some guidance, some mindset shifts, some, skills on becoming better on camera or speaking or getting clarity on your message or what, how you want to make people feel, like you can crush it. And you won't start off perfect day one, but that's why we get started now. You can even shoot for the little things, like get on small podcasts and things like that to get practice,
You
really.
need the practice. So I did my last cocktail segment I did in the New York and WPIX in New York. You can't, thank God you can't see, but I'm literally shaking. Like
In
that
what?
day, I was just nervous. That day, I was just like, and I've done this a billion times and I've been on national TV and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
I always say to my clients, I too want to throw up 5 minutes before I go on air. Like it doesn't go away. Stage fright or whatever it is doesn't go away, but it's about still doing it and understanding that no matter if you're an A-list celebrity or you're somebody starting out, it's hard. And
Mhm.
when I worked in TV, or I have a friend of mine who was on like a national show, and she was talking to me about how interesting she thought it was that these people could be on red carpets and the Oscars and do all that stuff, but after they would shoot a talk show, they'd be like, "How did I do?" Right? We're all just people, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I say that so to take the onus of like, well, everybody else can do it. No, everybody else is nervous also. Everybody else wants to look good. Everybody else doesn't want to make a fool out of themselves. But
Yeah.
the people that are doing it are taking the chance on themselves that they're going to come out on the right side.
Mhm. Ah, okay. I think that's a good ending point. Is there anything else that you feel like, got to address here on the podcast before we could talk for hours on this. So we're gonna do that on May 15th. Beth is gonna get more in depth on this topic again on how to make 10K from your next podcast interview on our Access the Experts May 15th, 1 p.m. To grab your free ticket, just use the link below this video. Is there any other little golden nugget that you want to leave with the listeners before we tell them where they can find you and all that
A
good stuff?
100%. I do this exercise when I wake up if I'm doing something hard that day, and I tell before I open my eyes, I say to myself, just be brave till 11 a.m. Just be brave till 11. You know, and then once 11 turns around, if you can't be brave anymore, it's okay to get back into bed and watch TV. Right?
Mm.
That's but what happens is that you can be brave till 12. You can be brave till 1. You can be brave for the whole day. When you set yourself up in the morning, that happens because when you're going to show up on your own social media or be on Oprah magazine, it's
Mm.
all about being brave and doing it anyway because I believe that everybody has the talent. Honestly, everybody has talent. But the
Mhm.
real talent in being an entrepreneur is taking your talent through the fear and into what your goals are and doing the hard stuff.
Yeah. 10 seconds of courage to get started, right? Like be brave until that time, but like start with 10 seconds of courage to like do that thing to be brave, through 11. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. And y'all, when the whole TV thing kind of came into view for me, I was like that TV could be an opportunity. I was like, nope, nope, don't want to do that. That sounds way too scary. And, I have all these other things going on. I don't know that if I have the capacity to take on something that I'm that scared of. Does that make sense?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm already full, and so it's like to have one more thing that I have to worry about, that I have to and then like it just started unfolding and the opportunity was presented like, yeah, come be on the news and I couldn't say no. I had to take that 10 seconds of courage, and bravery to just say yes. and then literally reach out into my network and, get advice from you and like all of the
So
other
glad you did.
people. And y'all, it wasn't that bad. Like I had a lot of
Fun,
fun
right?
doing
It's
it. So
so
I'm like,
fun.
yes, after I'm like, when's my next one? And I know it can be better the next time,
Oh,
So
100%. I just booked one. So I'm going to LA I'm speaking and then I'm going to LA to see my sister. And I just booked KTLA. And I 100% said yes. But now I need to figure out how to, without, I guess I have to rent a car, right? Without like my stuff, I have to do a whole TV segment in LA, but I'm not going to say no, right? I
right.
said yes, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to rent a car to go back and forth to Target to buy cocktail glasses. Like we'll figure it out, or this grocery store. But I think it's that I want to give everyone permission that's listening to say yes and then figure it out. Right? Because
Ooh,
that's
yes.
you were like no and then yes, but I want you to say everything that comes to you for the month of May. Let's give them May. Everything that happens until we do the master class, you are to say yes to and then figure it out. And when you come into the master class, we're going to ask you first up in the chat, what you say yes to and what's happened for you. I love to give those little things to an audience who's going to show up later for an event. And I'm so excited about the master class. But that gives you a little extra incentive to be celebrated and to get visible and have a conversation about it because we all do hard things. It's just about showing up for them all the time.
Yes. Amazing. Okay. So from now they're hearing you. Where can they find you and follow you and get these golden nuggets until they see you again on Access the Experts?
Oh, I can't wait to access the experts. So you can find me at Beth Nydick on social media everywhere. Go to my link in bio on Instagram, like my page, and then go to link in bio because right now what I have is the 5 proven formulas to create subject lines will get you booked on any podcast.
Perfect. We'll put that in the link below as well as the link to Access the Experts. Grab your free seat. And of course, if you're listening in the future, grab the replay using that same link below. Beth, this has been incredible. I'm so glad that the conversation is not really ending today and that we
Oh,
get to come back very shortly and dive in deeper. So, y'all, I would love to see you there live. You're going to get the most out of it. You can ask your questions. Like, you get to be in front of Beth. You get to ask her your questions and get answers from her. So take advantage. This is your first opportunity to say yes. If you're listening, I'm going to look at how many downloads we have on this podcast episode. And if I don't see every single one of your names signed up for the Access the Experts, you didn't even follow through on the first assignment, y'all. Just say yes. So I'm excited to see you all there to hang out again with Beth and just get just so much of her wisdom and actionable steps that you can start doing right away, regardless of if you're just started your business or you've been at it for 3 years or you're a master at what you're doing, you're going to find value in this training. So I can't wait to see you there. Beth, thank you so much for being here and we'll see everyone later.
thank you. See you guys at the masterclass.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.